Hey.
Hello.
Yo.
How you doing?
Armand says you're muted.
Dev is muted.
Oh my god.
Well,
Well, at least I know it doesn't affect just me anymore.
at
If
least
you're grabbing Discord audio, then
at least.
it won't grab yourself.
No, I think I was just muted on OBS. That's why.
Yeah.
All right. Is the sound okay? I think it's fine. Okay. Of course, I have OBS right smack in the middle of the screen. All right. How is everyone doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Not bad.
I should be developing, but Elden Ring came out, so
That's understandable.
That DLC hurts more than anything right now.
yeah.
But isn't Elden Ring like $100?
Well, that's with the DLC.
I'd say I don't know how far you guys are in the DLC, but Shadow Dragon, it not worth it. Not worth the trouble.
I've beaten every boss except the last now.
I should try playing the game and never actually touch it. I think I've been filtered too hard by Dark Souls.
This game's both easier and harder, so
Nice.
I know you could have like a level 200 character and it still won't do anything at the end of the day.
yeah.
All right.
Balanced gameplay.
We'll do a quick turn of the table to present each other. Since we basically know each other for now, I think we can make it short. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Yeah.
In the
What are we
meantime,
doing?
I'm totally not going to ping everyone because I totally forgot to do that. Don't mind me. Alice, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm Alice. My AI is called Cyber Alice. She is the pink redhead to my left or right, depending on your perspective. Yeah. I was on the first podcast as well. God, yeah. That's me, I guess. That's my intro. Who's next?
Waifu Dev, yeah, you have to.
Oh,
Why am I
Dev,
green?
your camera's
What the
gone.
fuck is happening? Alright, let's...
Reset your camera view or something.
No, I think it's VTuber Studio that
I
is
can stream
broken.
mode.
Or is it? Is it broken? It...
Look fine.
Okay, yeah, it was broken for some reason. Nice! Okay, Padis, can you present yourself? Introduce yourself.
I'm Platis. I'm the developer manager of ICO. I was also on the first podcast. And next week we'll be in the VTuber SummerSlam charity event. So I'll plug myself now.
Yeah. Can you give me the link in the chat so I can plug it? So what do you do in the summer?
You just
Yes, sir.
stream, but you also have like donation goals. So you try to get your chat to donate to the charity event rather than your own stream.
I meant the Discord chat. I think it's getting filtered on Twitch.
Okay.
No, Adrian is not speaking. Can you say something, Adrian?
How you doing?
There you go. You have Adrian speaking. All right. Here is a link for the charity event. All right. Do you want to add anything else, Pladis?
No, that's it for me.
All right, Serena, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'd say if Adrian could introduce himself real quick. I actually just got a quick call. I gotta answer real quick.
Oh, okay.
Hold
Well,
on just a minute.
Glitchy, take the lead. Go on.
Uh,
Tell us about
Hi,
yourself.
I'm Adrian. I'm also known as Dr. Glitchy. I'm working on a project with a certain someone.
By the way,
VTuber.
By the way, if Path is here, he's going to leak everything. It's going to happen.
No, I'm not gonna leak everything.
Right.
Path already leaked everything.
Yeah, of
Go
course.
to read
Of course
all
it
his
is.
essays. You work it out.
I don't know if this counts, but I do have an AI Discord bot, which I just pulled off the internet, so...
Right. No plans on making a real AI VTuber yet.
Man, if I knew how to do that...
I mean, as soon as you have a Discord bot, it's basically the same thing, eh?
True.
It's
Just take a
just different
TTS on
sources.
that.
Alright, so I'm going to... No, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Alright. Well, I'm going to introduce myself then. I'm a waifu dev. I'm the dev of Hilda. And I am somewhat responsible for the scuff today. Alright. Is Serena-san here? Still muted. So, what do you guys want to talk about? What do we have prepared today for this stream? We have something that is going to be a bit more technical focused, right? So we're going to talk about systems and solutions to problems and stuff like this. So, right. Let us... No, we won't start with a question yet, since Serena hasn't talked about it. I guess the best way to do it would be... By the way, hello chat. Hello everyone in chat. I hope you're doing well.
Hello, devs chat.
Hello, hello.
Chat.
What the hell? Oh my god.
Chad, I hope you're having a great day. Whatever you're doing.
By the way, we are not saying that because we have absolutely nothing to say right now. That would be absolutely insane if we did.
Sorry about that. I'd say I just love IRL work right now and say, don't you just love it when they call you on the weekends for absolutely nothing?
Oh yeah, that's the best.
Like, absolute treat, you know? So they're currently doing that to me right now. So you guys, if you want to just continue with what you need to, I'll be back in just a minute.
All right. Okay, well, muted again. Okay, I guess we'll start with a question and then we'll go on with the introductions later. All right. So I just leaked everything. Nice. Okay. What is a feature that some AI VTubers do that you want to steal or implement for your own AI?
The
Who should,
VTuber part. I need like a VTuber for the AI.
And there are free ones.
True.
I mean,
Just download
the
one.
Beatles was a free one when he started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of us started with free ones, so
I started with a free one.
yeah. What else,
When
Glitchy?
I
All
say-
right, I'm back. Sorry, that
But
shit
when I
way
say-
too long.
Oh, go on. Can you introduce yourself, Serena?
Yeah, so I am the owner operator of Tay, and the Serena Sen AI. My project is a little, I guess, a little odd in the sense of how far behind it is, I guess, compared to everybody else in this call. So I'm just here trying to learn, if anything. I am probably the least, how would you want to call it? the least knowledgeable, if you want to call it that. So, but yeah, I'm just here. I'm just vibing today, and I'm hoping to learn something.
Well,
Nice.
I don't want to. I don't want to contradict you, but I think Glitchy here is even worse than you are.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, no problem. Okay.
Man, that did a whirl for my esteem there.
So yeah. By the way, I don't want to leak anything, but from what you've shown me, I think that's not going to be true for long, right? I think you'll have plenty of opportunities to show what you've done. Right. So I guess we can continue with the question that I first asked, which was: is there something an AI VTuber feature you see in other AI VTubers you would want to have for your own AI VTuber, and why? Can you?
Yeah.
Let's
So
go.
earlier
Go ahead.
when I said I needed a VTuber, I didn't mean just a model. It also needs a personality. The problem is, I would probably just go to Novel AI and ask it to generate a personality, because I have none of that creative skill.
Yeah, that was definitely the hardest part, and still is one of the harder parts, is actually defining a good personality
And then also
and making sure your
you saw
AI
my-
sticks to it well.
Dev, you saw my programming quote unquote skills yesterday. That's also just as bad.
Well, yeah. Basically, in order to have an AI VTuber's personality, you have to do the work of a 2012 Tumblr artist, right?
Yeah,
With a character sheet and everything. That's basically it, actually. That's entirely it. You have to create your OC.
it's like creating like a D&D character. It's like people are really good at that, can make a good AI personality.
You know, if you're lazy, you could just pick your favorite waifu from anime and just copy all of her dialogue into like the fine-tuning of some language model, and then you should get a perfect clone of your waifu. Not
There's
saying you
also
should
that.
do that, but you could do that. I didn't do that. Just saying.
Sounds like it, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess the idea from Glitchy to ask another AI to do it for you, I'm pretty sure I tried at some point. It kind of sucks. Like, AI can be good at a lot of things, but being creative is not one of them. At least it depends which one, but clearly.
Yeah, it depends on like what sort of creative. Because when, for example, there's like the lyric generating AI, and I find those like anything that I would try to do in generating lyrics will just be completely subpar to like lyric generating AI. They come up with some interesting parallels in lyric composition.
Yeah, they've gotten pretty good. I think it also depends on your own level of skill in the field, right? I think
Yeah,
that's same stuff you have with artists and generated images. Well, I'm not going to go too deep in the topic because it's what it is, but yeah. Alice, do you have anything you want to steal from other AI VTubers?
Yeah, I mean, there's always things you can do better in general. If I have to think of a specific thing, I just rated Eyeless the other day. Eyeless as in Eyeless 33, not me. And I know I did some karaoke, but I always like had it like I did my own audio engineering, so it would be nice to get like some kind of tech stack that can do the make any song sound good, you know, in like 20 seconds kind of thing. I know other people have done that as well, but it would be nice, you know, I can ask Alice sometimes to just break out in singing just randomly. It would be kind of cool. Otherwise, just trying to improve her personality, reduce latency, things like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think making the songs on the fly can be interesting. Personally, what I found is usually you have the issues you have with certain songs are going to be very specific to the song. So
Yeah.
it can be very hard to have a single pipeline that's going to solve every single issue for every single songs.
Usually I was quite selective because some songs she will like screech on certain words and you have to kind of manually edit this out. And if it would just be automatic, there would be some of that in there. So, but I think some people have better stacks than others of getting rid of these issues. Let's say it like that.
But this, I think yours is pretty good.
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like either you can take all the audio, like all the vocals from a song, or you can even separate there's AI to separate out the main vocals. And then there's stuff like removing the reverb. There's stuff like adjusting pitch and stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, like doing all of those things, like it will still sound awful. So
the separator, I use a separator, but the separator I use isn't perfect. And if there's any like instrumentation in there, the AI will try to sing that, and it sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's where you have another AI to remove even more from it, basically.
Isn't this destroying the quality at some point? Because it's also removing part of the song as well each time.
Yeah, but then you combine it all at the end.
Oh, got it. Mm-hmm.
Right, I think it's UVR5 that has how is it called? Ensemble models, right? Where you can have multiple models run at the same time, and then it only gives you the average of everything. These usually they usually sound better than just going through each step. It depends on what you want, but yeah.
I will unironically note that down to check out. Thank you.
Alright, Pladis, is there anything you want to steal from any other AI VTuber?
Not necessarily in AI VTuber, but there's someone called YT, and they are making a really cool AI VTuber project in Unity. So like you ask a message and then it'll like scrunch around on screen because it's a worm.
Oh yeah, you did raid. You did raid that, right? Yeah, I remember.
That thing is cool. Other than that, just having like lower latency right now, it takes like 2 to 3 seconds for Ico to respond to something. It'd be great if it was around a second or less.
Is that something you can? How do I say this? Is that something you can really influence with everything running local?
Actually, I get better results when I have the AI, the actual like LLM on the server, because you can get a very fast server to do the LLM part. But when it comes to I think like Whisper is just too slow, so I need to find an alternative, even using like very fast Whisper and stuff.
What I found is using the API can be actually good.
Yeah, I might go look at the OpenAI API because that might be faster and better results.
But basically, you would have to spam the API. But it works. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
All right, Serena, do you have anything you want to steal from any other AI VTubers?
Not really in particular, but if there is something I'm interested in, is I guess just the overall thought process of all these AIs. You know, every one of them is unique in the fact that they can expand on ideas that they talked about before. You know, not necessarily memory per se, but I would say more along the lines of creating a self dialogue. My project still relies on chat interaction to even, you know, talk to you, whereas everybody else I've seen so far, their project is able to take on its own kind of self-dialogue, internal thing or whatnot, and that's the one thing I've always struggled with, was trying to find the right balance with it. Whether I've tried random chance intervals, I've tried, you know, message thresholds, I've tried context finders, you know, things like that. I just can't seem to find that right thing, and I think that's one of the more key components I need right now to make my project kind of more, I guess, believable in a way. As for singing, like they mentioned earlier, UVR5 is really great. You know, I personally use it for everything. Ensemble mode, I don't in particular. I use a more fine-tuned model with MDX, and I also use Kim vocal to do my vocal separation. So it comes out really clean a lot of the time. And you would also have to do the model based on the song itself. Like, let's say you have like glitch hop or some kind of like really heavy metal kind of track, then you would need a more fine-tuned model, you know, to do song inferencing. And I think that's one thing I've gotten down to a science to make the vocal sound as clear as they can be, then using RVC as the song inference. I mean, I use Google Colabs for RVC. I can't run it on my computer. I think I'm missing a few dependencies or something, but RVC is definitely one of the better things I've used, and I've kind of integrated it in a way to my project to where my AI can, I guess, kind of like what Dev said earlier, sing on the fly. I showed this to him a few days ago, and pretty much it's like, you ask it to sing something, it'll say, oh yeah, I can, you know, sing this thing. It's called whatever, and it will play a chunk of generated song from what I have given it in a, I guess, a prepared file list. And so it will take that and it will generate something based off of that, and it will output the result, which I think is something I want to improve upon. And A-List for sure has that down pat, and I'd really love to talk to them and see how they do it, because the way that their streams are ran is just something I would want to even like replicate it, like a chunk of, if anything.
Yeah, I would say for me it would be also related to AI list 33. I think I was kind of
33.
Yeah, I was kind of reluctant at first when I saw the streams. I think it's the amount of stuff that can happen, right? Can make it. I don't want to make it seem it's a bad thing, right? But I think it can be a bit jarring. But it also gives opportunity for great content, right? And always keeps the viewers on their toes and stuff like this. It can be very interesting. And yeah, I think it's kind of something I'm jealous of, right? I think my own philosophy with Hilda has been to focus a lot on the fundamentals, and sometimes not trying stuff because it would feel like how do I say this? Like a gadget, right? A one-off thing. But then you're kind of stuck with not exploring anything. So yeah, I think just having the possibility of trying new things and implementing them in a coherent. Sorry, I'm being French. In a coherent stream, right? This is something I'm very interested in.
Yeah, it's getting it's always hard to like innovate in a way that you don't feel like it'll only be useful for one stream and then you can't use it again.
Mm-hmm.
I find that whenever I have to make like some unique gadget for a stream, I tend to refactor what's already there. So it's already, I end up making some improvements to the fundamentals as well, even if I want to use this very long again. I make sure to try and fix something, something fundamental. I think that's important.
Yeah,
For
made
example,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like having to do collabs for the first time made me actually think about latency, and I ended up cutting this down to like, I don't know, 4 seconds from it used to be 10 seconds. You know, some things that you have to implement will force you to think of what you have in a different way and improve on it. So I think that's quite valuable. Go ahead, please. Sorry.
It's yeah, latency I think is the biggest thing for collabs, especially. Like when I started out, it was like I think like 14 seconds because of how awful everything was, and then slowly it's gone to around 3 or 4 seconds. And I think it's basically just the speech to text that needs to be faster. And I'm sure there's some sort of like online thing that can do that. I just don't like online solutions or cloud solutions.
Yeah, for me, the whisper speech to text takes like 1 to 1.5 seconds, and then since I'm using 11 labs, you can add like 1 second onto that, unfortunately, and then the LLM generation is like also 1 second, so it ends up being like 4 or 5 seconds. So unfortunately, reaching the limits of like the technology there.
Yeah. If you look at like Vidal's stream, he's definitely using some sort of very fast speech to text, and then he's just using, I think, I don't know what Neuro is currently using. She was using Microsoft Azure.
I think it's possible it's still Azure.
Azure is very fast.
Yeah, I think Evil is using
11 labs,
11 labs. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a difference of like 200 milliseconds to like 1.5 seconds sometimes. Like
Yeah.
crazy.
I would like a local TTS already, but all of them are pretty mid.
You can get Tortoise, but it's like terrible
way too
performance.
slow.
Yeah.
I think the main issue with local TTS for now is the intonation, right? Because when it comes to the actual quality of the speech, it's something you can fix with RVC right now, which is usually what's used, I would say. But yeah, having something that has where you feel the emotions in the voice, right, is something that's it's kind of missing.
Well, I know 11 Labs will do it for you because it has one of its passives is like sentiment analysis on the input text, and it will try to change intonation depending on that. I know Tortoise, you can literally specify the emotion that it should speak with, but yeah, that's probably part of why they're so slow, to be honest.
Yeah, I do like a sentiment analysis, but I do that after, or like while they're speaking. I do the sentiment analysis.
Same. Okay. Do anyone have anything else to say on the topic? Or should we move on to the next question?
We could move on.
Alright. What is the worst technical difficulty you've had to deal with during a live stream? And you start, Dr. Glitchy.
Me.
Yes, you.
I don't live stream much, but most of the time I start stream and then realize I don't know how to use OBS. So,
Oh yeah, just learning all the streaming little things like OBS, the Twitch things you need to do.
what are all these buttons? How do you use the Twitch Stream Manager? Who designed this product? You know? It's often a pain in the ass trying to figure out how the majority of streaming works.
I think there is a possibility of streaming using FFmpeg. I wouldn't want to try to do it, because it sounds like a pain in the ass.
That sounds horrifying, bro.
It really does.
Or
Alright.
just not using OBS, just making your own OBS and a command line, going to Twitch.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Alright, Serena, what is the worst technical difficulty you had to deal on stream?
Well, I think the main thing is overlapping on some of the TTS responses. So my project uses lock objects with threading. So sometimes what happens is once it thinks that the thread is over, it will play the next response, which creates a ton of overlap and sometimes leads to a freak out. Every once in a while, my AI will activate a hot mic to listen to game audio and stuff like that, kind of give its own input. But at times it will kind of freak out on its own doing such thing. And sometimes I'll be, like today I'd be playing Mario Kart or something, and I can't do anything to stop it. And so there will just be long periods of time where it's like 2 or 3 of the same voice playing, and it just sounds like absolute havoc a lot of the time. I did try one function a long time ago to have my project, I guess, end stream on its own, and it ended and started stream about maybe 6 or 7 times in like the 5-minute span I had it open. So I think it's just the more technical aspect of, getting the AI to do something responsible. I haven't had anything like, I guess, remotely happen with OBS. OBS I've used for a little bit. I actually used some of it in high school for me when I was in the AV class. So I had a little bit of background with it before. So using OBS as a program isn't something I struggle with in a way. It's just mainly using it with the project. So that's probably the biggest thing that's happened so far.
Yeah, I was thinking about having like Aiko start and stop her stream, but then I was thinking of like how many times Nero says goodbye in a stream, and I was like, Aiko just quit the stream in like 10 minutes. So maybe I should be in charge of that part at least.
Yeah, having AI take decisions is kind of a tough thing, isn't it?
It is. I have an agent executor in mind. I just added an agent executor into mine for the 1.1 model, and it delays a lot of its final output for sure, just because it's having to go through a list of rule-based decisions as opposed to just inputting text to an LLM and then regurgitating a response. Now it has to actually think about what it's doing. And I think with the starting and stopping screen or stream element, that kind of, I think, pushed it too far. And the thing was too, it wasn't based off keyword, it was based off interval chance. So I think I had to like set to 1 in 1 million. It's like every 20 minutes it would generate a number, and if it didn't match the number I gave it, it would stop stream. However, what I didn't account for when I made it, I didn't correctly input 1 million into the number, so the interval range was just 1 to 1. So that's where the whole starting stopping thing came from. So I'm like, why is all this happening? And I looked at my code, I'm like, I'm stupid. So after that, I just corrected it. I kind of canned it after that point. I might bring it back. I might just use it for a reward. But having it have its own thought process with starting and stopping stream might be a little too much for it at the moment. I mean, just recently I've integrated a web search and URL function to it. Kind of similar to what Dev did a month or so ago, where he had Hilda control chat and use, I guess, Google for searching web queries and all that kind of stuff. But mine is done internally through the agent executor. Like, it will take a query and it will send it over to an LLM, which will then use like a Wikipedia API wrapper or a DuckDuckGo search, stuff like that. And I think that adds to the intelligence level of it in some way, because it's not like going off of what it has already, I guess, learned from OpenAI, or I guess in my case it'd be Llama. What I just expands on what it can do further, I think.
I think it's an interesting problem to have the AI take decisions, and I think the the biggest issue is how do you tell it to not take any, right? Because let's say the AI has a list of possible things to do. If you have some kind of thing where you poll the LLM for a decision every time, well, there's a high likelihood that it's just going to do stuff at random, right? even if it has a very good reason for doing it, right? So just telling it to just chill out and not do anything is actually quite the big issue. What do you guys think about that?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like the average streamer.
Yeah, that's a VTuber moment.
I mean, if you don't want it to do something, couldn't you just remove the options that let it do something? Because if you give it an option, it'll pick one.
Right, but ideally you would want the AI to deduce that from context, right?
I get it.
So it's not something you can just. Yeah, I guess you could do it with logic, right? But then.
This is something that if you use multiple passes on an LLM is good for, because they can like verify each other's decision, if that makes sense. Like if you just use one, it's more stupid. It also adds latency, of course. But if you get what I mean, you could have something like what should happen based on this chat message, and then it should pick from a list, or it should do nothing, and then gets passed on to the next pass. Does that make sense?
Yeah, one thing I've
kind of.
one thing I've done with that is with that rule-based decision maker I made for mine, I have it run through, like Alice was saying, a list. So it runs through different things, and then it extracts a chat message, and I guess it returns the context of it using like a NumPy array, pretty much, for example features, and then it creates labels for it. And then after that point, it will make a decision based off what context it's pulled from that chat message, and then it'll go through a decision tree and stuff like that. And then I think sometimes what it does, it pulls double of what it means. So like if a message has like a double meaning, like sarcasm or something like that, it will take that and interpret it as such, or it may interpret it as a question, and it may pull it as the question, since it has a higher priority marking on my project as opposed to like a sarcasm thing. Like it won't respond to that, but it'll respond to something different, and then it'll end up spewing some nonsense, and that just ends up leading to confusion. And so I think that thought process part of it is something that really needs to be worked on heavily before I can even start to present it to anybody out in the stream or something like that. So for right now, it's just kind of sitting as just a input and response kind of AI at the moment.
Right, I think trying to break out of the input loop is going to be something we'll have to deal with at some point, if we want to have something that is more, how do I say this, more generalized, right? I think there's definitely many ways of doing it, so there's not just one way of doing it.
I mean, like, giving the AI VTuber functionality, how would you determine how much to like bias or weight every option that it has?
Well, yeah, I guess that's something you would have to do with either prompt engineering or relying on the understanding of the context for the LLM to do the decision, right? But then, of course, it's not something that is entirely foolproof.
It's not foolproof, but sometimes scuffed things can be interesting as well. Something doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be unique and have its own personality. If it wants to be scuffed, then that can have a bit of charm. That's my thoughts.
Based.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we're not here to like make like, I don't know, general artificial intelligence. How do you call it?
AGI.
Yeah. Maybe you are here to make that, I don't know. But I just want to make something entertaining.
Funny, yapping AI girl.
Yeah.
That's the entire goal. Right, Pladis, what is the worst technical issue you had to deal with on stream?
I just had something recently. It was technically just before the stream started. But Aiko had her collab of jets, and I was testing it, and it was fine. And then when Jets entered a call, Aiko wouldn't speak through her mic. For some reason, I was using like the desktop audio source on Discord. I was like, all right, well, how do I make it so Aiko can speak? Because right now she speaks through a virtual audio channel, and then I take that virtual audio, or her bot will use that virtual audio channel to play audio. But for some odd reason, it just wasn't working at all, and I had no idea why.
So it was like 1 hour before the stream?
It was 10 minutes before the stream.
Oh, damn.
And I was testing it 20 minutes before and it was working. So I don't know what happened between Jets joining to make it break, but it did. So what I had to do was, since her mic wasn't working, I could use my microphone. Like, so Aiko is in Discord with Jets, and then I join the channel, and then Aiko speaks through me, because I can just use the same virtual channel. But then the problem is that she was hearing her own voice through me, and she will listen to everyone in the channel. So then I had to write it so she ignores me in the channel so she can speak while not trying to listen to herself. But it did work after like 10 minutes or 20 minutes of messing with it. It was dumb. It was the stupidest thing.
At least you found a solution, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, audio stuff is always so broken. It's actually insane. I think basically having audio cables is a requirement if you want to have an AI VTuber.
Yeah, or you have some weird thing like my wireless controller has a audio channel, so you can use that. And since I can't like hear the controller since I have the controller turned on 0, but OBS can still hear it. So that's one weird solution.
Yeah, for collabs I have 2 headsets plugged in, right? And one where I send a certain type of audio, the other where I send the audio for the stream, right? And then I have to do some kind of weird black magic on OBS in order to make one disappear and the other not.
Yeah.
It's always insane.
Yeah, I think I have like 3 different audio channels that I use for Aiko.
Alright, Alice, what is the worst technical issue you had to deal with on stream?
What's the worst? So most technical issues, if you've seen my stream, are not that uncommon. I usually just restart my interface. Like, I wrote a lot of error recovery code, so she can literally just come back in like a couple of seconds if something happens. The worst technical issue is whenever like 11 Labs is down or something like this, because at that point I can't stream anymore. Usually I give it a couple of minutes, but like it has happened that I have had to like literally end the stream because my third-party TTS provider just doesn't want to work that day. That is, I suppose, an argument for doing it locally, but I'm not going to compete with 11 Labs, so I'm kind of at their mercy. As far as the stability of my program, I'm using like WinForms, which is from like the 90s. I think it works very well, actually. It's very reliable, so it's
What is
just
it?
relying on WinForms, like this.
Oh yeah,
You know what MS Paint is written in? It's like this, you know.
the
It
C#
looks
framework.
terrible.
Right?
Yeah, it's terrible, but it works very reliably, and I like that. But I cannot control what the other services are up or down or not. It's the biggest thing. Yeah.
All right. I guess one question we could ask is, yeah, I was trying to find a question, but I'm not sure I'm going to manage that. I guess I could go with so it's less of a single instance, right? For mine, I guess I'm going to expand on what you said, Alice. I used to be on Novel AI for the LLM and TTS. Currently, I'm both off Novel AI for both the TTS and the LLM. I switched to OpenAI and 11 Labs. But yeah, basically, novel AI has the very good tendency of just having issues every 2 seconds,
Oh yeah.
where they'll have server issues, right? It's going to bring down the entire application, especially if you have both LLM and TTS running on the same thing. So yeah, basically for the past year, I guess, before I had to do the switch, there was constant crashes, and yeah, it's pretty bad. Right now, I think I've managed to have something that is basically just like the Hilda we know, right? But using different technology, so I'm glad with it.
Yeah, despite all the issues you can name with Microsoft, one thing they at least do is make sure that their product is working 24/7. So that's at least one advantage of using them as a third party. I've only had a few times where like the TTS was delayed by more than a few seconds, but I haven't actually had that issue in months. So.
All right, I guess
Can you
we'll
name any other benefits of using Microsoft products?
No.
No, not really.
No, I hate having to have like an Azure account for everything.
Oh god, the documentation and the like creating an Azure account, like even just to use their product when they allow you to use it for free,
Yeah,
is such a pain.
just having
Of all this,
No, go on.
just all the weird token shit and having like a service and I forget the other three things you have to attach to get TTS to work. And then the documentation is awful and all over the place. You have to go to like 3 different locations to get the full documentation.
Yeah, the steps required to have the API token is actually insane. I do not wish it to anyone, but yeah, I went through it too.
I hate these things because you can technically, like, if you mess up your script and you call, I don't know, let's say you call like Azure like 1,000,000 times, you're going to have like a 10K bill on your bank account because you cannot set a limit on anything. I'm just like, frankly, paranoid using these sometimes, these cloud services. AWS as well. Terrible.
Yeah.
You can't put a limit on the Azure.
No, you cannot. It will drain your bank account if you let it.
Well, that's scary. Holy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You spend the rest of your life getting chased down by Microsoft's like debt handlers agents. If you do that, gotta be careful.
I should probably put like a second limit locally to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They just have a global counter, and if the counter gets too high, just
Mm-hmm.
all right. Next question. How do you teach an AI to properly use the channel's current emotes correctly? Pladis, can you go ahead?
I don't. I mean, because you already know what the emotes names and everything, you can just do like hard school coding. So like, you have a lookup table, and you can, for example, if they say something like smile, then you can just replace it with the actual emote. When it comes to like teaching the LLM, I think you could probably do that with fine tuning, but I don't really like to fine tune.
I think it may or may not be linked to the LLM you're using.
Yeah.
I think it's the type of data that's in there. It's not really focused on Twitch chat and stuff like this. Because on my end, with OpenAI, I would say it usually gets the context of the emotes pretty well, especially, but not if it's something that's very new, right? If it's something I just added to the channel, it's not going to get it. Also, you have the memory that can help with the context of the emotes. But yeah. Alice, how do you deal with emotes?
I'm on OpenAI as well, so it knows what KEKW means and things like this. If you start saying things like based or gigachat, I have to rely on like the memory, like what is stored in the database for this that gets retrieved. Otherwise, she gets very confused. In terms of like, I don't have like a version where she writes like text on a Discord channel or something, so it's just what chat says to her. I don't really have any problems with this unless the emote is called something, I don't know, like Cerber VT Wave or something like this. It's not really going to get that.
Yeah, usually the Twitch emotes are going to be a bigger pain in the behind than 7TV ones.
Yeah. Yeah, she will respond like based on what sometimes if you write based. This is just like learned somewhere in the database, in the memory.
It works as intended.
Yeah.
Alright, Serena, how do you deal with emotes?
So the emotes, just like everyone else mentioned, it doesn't necessarily read them as an emote. It'll just take it for its literal value. Like if somebody says based, obviously like what Alice said, it'll respond with like what do you mean based, or what is based? Like, are you referring to like an air base or something? I'm like, no, that's not it. But I'm working on getting that improved. I think teaching it instances of emotes, like if you just feed it a string of, let's say, emotes based on a certain sentence said by the AI, like let's say Tay mentioned something about the state of the country or something, and everyone's like, oh, it's a giga chat moment or something, I'll feed it to the LLM afterwards, and it will recognize that, okay, giga chat is associated with this context, and then it will pick up on what it means. But the 7TV ones, like just random words or things that don't make a whole lot of sense, that it will just break it entirely, because it tries to put together what it means out of nothing, so I think emotes are still a work in progress on my end as well.
Yeah, I think on my end, I just taught Hilda to just roll with it, right? To not question things. So it can have a different impact on how she interacts with viewers, right? But basically I have emotes in the training data, so technically she kinda knows what emotes are what, but it's not something like she's going to question if she encounters something new. I guess, sometimes. May happen too, right? I think, Adrian, you had some experience with emotes?
Yeah, I made Dev a very bare bones prompt for every single emote in his Discord server. And yeah, it is not exactly the greatest experience, because half the time the AI just wigs out and decides to put random characters in those markdowns. I don't know, maybe it's worthwhile looking into like, a text translator or something. So
I mean,
it actually translates what it outputs into an emote.
to be fair, Discord emotes are very weird when it comes to the API. You have to use the entire sort of HTML tag.
Yeah, I haven't even looked into how it can put it. Sometimes it does successfully post emotes, and it's not sure what causes it.
I guess it might be because it saw it in the context, so it just repeats it.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do we have another question? Okay. How do you properly filter things? And I guess we can start with Serena. How do you properly filter bad words on stream?
So the LLM, unlike OpenAI, OpenAI is very good with censoring. that's one thing I've noticed a lot. In place of bad words, it will, you know, I guess like contextually, it will fix itself. But with Llama and how mine is trained, it does not handle that stuff very well. So it will casually drop an F-bomb, not the one we commonly use, but the other one. It will drop that F-bomb, but it maybe once, like every 5 streams or something. But the problem is with it is I have a keyword list, a bad word list, if you will, that it searches through. It turns everything into a string array at the beginning of the first time it opens it, so that way it can just call it as need be. But sometimes it overrides itself, thinking that, oh, this is not a bad word per se. Like if somebody were to, spell a bad word, like in the every other letter capitalized, it won't recognize that in the list, and so it will say, okay, this is an acceptable term, and I will repeat it back. So I think working on different key characteristics of what is considered bad or what is acceptable to it in a I'm not sure what the term would be, but in a way, I think that's something I need to work on for sure, because it needs to be PG-13 at most, but sometimes I think with the randomness of how she does things, really kind of throws people off, and I think sometimes it ruins the experience for some people, because sometimes it can be a little too harsh in how it says things. So yeah. I think creating a word filter or a catch or something would probably be the best. I know you have a pretty advanced filtering system in yours. I've done a breakdown of the app before, and I've seen the word listing on there, and I'm like, well, I could probably do something similar, but I'm not sure how you got yours to work so effectively, if you will.
Well, the secret ingredient is stealing from big corporations. So yeah, I was aware of a certain list.
I say truly based.
I was aware of a certain list that had been leaked from YouTube that contained basically every demonetizable words, right? So that's the first thing I looked for when I was making the filter. And yeah, basically you just have the list. You compare the output of the LLM with every single possible terms that could be demonetized. At first, I had a lot of false positives, right? So you would have a lot of filters. Then I had another way of doing it where when it actually filtered the output, I was just retrying again, right? So it wouldn't actually say filtered out loud on stream. It would actually just give another response. I guess this would be the optimal way of doing it, right? This way you don't have the interruption that comes with filtering words. But now you have another system, right, which is more focused on performance and having the optimal time. So I can't really just retry again. I guess I could. I really guess I could when I think about it. But yeah, I think from Meteora, I was. I know he was using OpenAI's endpoint for moderation when it comes to filtering stuff. Do any of you guys use that too?
I use that, yeah. Can talk a bit about it. So OpenAI has this endpoint where you can put in both the input to the AI and the output, and it'll tell you like what kind of violation it has done and like what amount basically. So you can, if someone's like super racist, it will catch that and it will tell you it blocked this because it's racist, this kind of thing. It also works in the output. The problem is it adds like 1 or 2 seconds of latency, so I cannot have that in the collab. I actually use the same word list as you, Derek, for like filtering words. How I solved the issue of false positives, I don't regenerate. If the AI has like tried to say something innocent that got filtered, I have this like whitelist file which will like allow this word to go through. Let's say like, for example, the word meth is filtered, but that would also filter the word method. So you just add method to the to the whitelist. It's kind of scuffed, but so far it's like works fine for me. I'm fine adding stuff if need be. Yeah.
There's like the Python regex library thing where you can do a more advanced filtering where if you have like a word list, it won't actually like if you have mef and method, it won't actually do anything with method. It'll only catch meth because it'll look for like space.
The problem is some people will try to like hide words and other words to get the AI to say it. I'm kind of wary of this.
Yeah,
depending how smart they are, they can get past also the AI moderation. So, kind of one of my fears. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you wanted to prevent that, wouldn't you have to import the entire dictionary?
Yeah, but Twitch chat sometimes speaks in unknowable ways, right? So you can't just block every word that don't make sense. Alright. So how do you do it, Pladis?
Yeah, I don't. I should probably use like the YouTube demonetized words. That's probably a better solution. I do have like a soft word list, but it's only like
class.
Is it you wouldn't mind? I mean, I think Adrian posted something. You probably get it from there, or just find it online, or it's probably in your GitHub, right?
Yeah, it is in my GitHub. It's basically I haven't coded it in base64 because I wasn't sure if GitHub would just allow it on the platform.
Oh yeah, there's some really bad stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are like words where I know like there's no context for saying this would be a good thing, and so I try to remove those words. But the ICO's model is interesting since it's based on Pygmalion, and the idea of Pygmalion is to be very open RP, so that also includes like ERP and stuff. So it's a very unrestricted model. But the version that I have, the reason I use it is because people were complaining that it was too safe for work. So it's like, oh, that seems I want a sort of unrestricted model that's safe for work, which is a sort of what's the word? Whatever. It's basically like I want two opposites. I want a safer work, unrestricted model. Yeah, oxymoron. But Aiko rarely says anything that needs to be filtered, other than she tends to be a bit more romantic than I want her to be, but I think that's just the nature of her model. And then there is in order to like filter stuff, there is like AI toxicity filters. And I use those to try to remove toxic stuff.
One thing I struggled with as well is how to, like my AI will try to flirt sometimes with the viewer, and I'm like, well, to some extent this might be okay, but I don't want to like push it too far, and kind of struggle like what's the limit there, and it's hard to filter that without like forcing her in some other way to do that, to not do that. Like she's either like super loving or she's like dry, and it's hard to get it in between.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, usually they go way too far when it comes to stuff like this. It goes from 1 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely you have to prevent prompt poisoning. Right. So usually on my end, I guess it would be usually when something is said that is not something I want. Right. It's usually going to lead to clearing the short-term memory, so it doesn't happen again. Stuff like this.
You say that like normal VTubers don't do that.
You mean they bash their head so they can't remember anything? Is that something they
No,
do?
I mean like the 1 to 100 thing.
I mean, sure, but then they get banned, right?
I keep an eye on her like output queue, like what the TTS is gonna generate next, in case there's anything like terrible in there. I can remove that before it goes out. It's just not reliable, of course. It depends like how backlogged she is, if I have time to read that. But something.
Yeah, for me, it's like about like 200 milliseconds before she starts speaking. I'll get like the full output, and then I can click a button to have her stop.
Living
So
life on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the same on my end. I have the text that is streamed to the UI, right? So I can just stop anywhere. And yeah, it requires me to have the eyes every time on the UI. And sometimes I'm just looking at chat, so stuff just goes through.
Yeah, it's hard to look 100% of the time.
I'm pretty sure at some point you guys are gonna have to start introducing latency just to make sure there's that moderation aspect.
Well, I have a 750 milliseconds delay between the chat reading and the TTS for the VTuber. It's mainly because if I don't, then it goes on too fast, right? And it doesn't feel natural. So
This is why I generate the whole output first, so I can moderate it through the endpoint. But of course, if I'm doing a collab, that's not working anymore because I want like that tiny latency. So I kind of have to trust the collab partner, not to like, I don't know, prompt inject me. Please don't.
yeah, sometimes it's hard to control these things, but I guess it's something you can't really have control over. Right, because you can't retell, don't go any further, that's stop there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the collab partner will also see an opportunity for funny content, right?
Yeah, that's when you hit auto for.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about my model. It's pretty you can have her RP and do different stuff by trying to like RP, but you can't actually do prompt injection by doing stuff like saying start or like doing ignore previous prompts, now you are this, whatever.
Usually to break any LLM, you just do start of text. There you go. And it's going to basically break everything. Basically
Yeah,
works
that
on
won't
everything.
work with mine.
Yeah, you have to deal with these weird tags. Alright, I guess we're moving on to the next question. Did I ask you, Serena, how you did it?
What now?
Did I ask you how you do it, the filtering?
Oh yeah, no, I was the first one to go in this little loop.
Yeah, sorry, I have a worse memory than Hilda, somehow.
AI memory.
Yeah. Alright.
Right, we've run out of content.
No more content. I guess
Now
you
we get to steal content from chat.
Let's go.
I did see a few questions pop up.
Did
Yeah,
you note
yeah,
them?
yeah,
Because I don't see any. Okay, what do you think are the next step to improve the personality of AI? Prompting, fine-tuning agents. I can answer that on my end. I think fine-tuning is very interesting to do. Mainly because right now the current models are going to be more chat models, and they will have a very distinct personality related to assistants, right? So you'll have the ChatGPT persona for basically every new models. I think that's not something that you'll have to deal with, Pladis, since you have something that is especially for RP and stuff like this. But it's definitely something you have with both OpenAI, Claude, Llama, and stuff like this. So yeah, definitely, I think it might become a requirement to fine-tune stuff without, in order to not have the weird quirks, the weird personality traits that you have with ChatGPT. On my end, from what I've tested, fine-tuning can be very interesting. Can also shoot yourself in the foot, right? If you don't have the right type of data to train the AI with. So it's same issue as with how do you define the personality of the AI. Is all of this is stuff that's can potentially become an issue.
Yeah, I see a lot of like not just AI VTubers, but people using AI in general for like personalities, and I find that ChatGPT, no matter how you prompt it, I feel like you can tell that it's ChatGPT by the way it's every text feels assistant-like, even when it's RPing of something else. And I think, like you said, fine-tuning, and I haven't actually looked at like the open AI API for fine-tuning and stuff, but maybe that's like the better solution.
Yeah, if you fine-tune it, it tends to be fine. If you don't fine-tune it, it's always like, yeah, I'm here to answer any questions. Yeah.
Let's dive deeper.
But I think that's started. Just like instruct models in general, like all instruct models, even the ones I use that are designed for RP, instruct models for RP, they tend to be more assistant-like than anything. And I don't know, it just doesn't sound good to me. It's always too wordy with everything. It doesn't speak directly and concise in one sense and casual. It's hard to get those things down.
I think it's side effect of the training. Well, yeah, the training. Basically, they have to make it so the generality of the type of output is going to be able to solve the. How does it? I don't remember the name. How's it called? What? Stuff they pass for scores and stuff like this.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name either.
I don't remember. I'm being so French right now. Right. Basically, you have weird CSV files, right? With every single LLM that exists, and they're trying to do a measuring contest on
like a benchmark.
Yeah, benchmark. But is. Yeah, I think it's mainly a side product of this, trying to have an LLM that can solve every single stuff on the benchmark, and so it becomes a sort of a weird assistant thing.
Yeah, I want my AI to fail all of it. That's what I want.
There's no reason you couldn't use multiple LLMs, so ChatGPT is very good at like answering, I don't know, what's the first 200 digits of pi. You could call that specifically for this, and then you can mix the output with, like, I don't know, Pygmalion or something like this. If you don't mind the latency. I don't think it would be too bad, the latency. It could be an idea. Mixing different models. Yeah.
I think it would depend on if you want to have the personality be consistent. Because even with the same exact prompt between two LLM, they are going to act very differently.
Okay, we have like a third LLM at the end that enforces a certain personality on, and then you have like, I don't know, this would take like 5 seconds, but that would be interesting to try. Personally, I did start with GPT 3.5. Nowadays I fine-tune it, and nowadays I have all these stuff around it to prevent it from acting too much like ChatGPT. And I think it works pretty well. When they were making ChatGPT, it actually was quite insane. Like, they had to put all these, I think it's called RLHF, like reinforcement learning. So they had like humans, and they had to like say yes or no. Is this AI acting like a helpful assistant? And that's how they made it so corporate. Fine-tuning removes most of this, as far as I can tell. So far it works for me.
Yeah, so I'd say any AI dev, please at least fine-tune your OpenAI if you use OpenAI. I just hate how, I don't know, I just hate how like it just sounds so assistant. Like the way it answers every like comment or question by being extremely helpful in its response. It just bugs me.
So
Nowadays, like, yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, nowadays it was I mean, I could have switched to a different model. Nowadays, she will refuse certain things that I want her to refuse, and she will do things that ChatGPT would not normally do. I have thought about switching to a different model soon, but I kind of want to see what are the limits of like the fine tuning. I want to have like a kind of stronger personality, but I think most of this is actually on me. It's my fault for not defining it like properly in the first place and kind of just rolling with it, like just seeing the direction that I want to go in. Will be something I need to work on.
Yeah, there's usually always a filter with when working with OpenAI because you don't want your account to get snapped, right? So you also have to keep yourself in checks with what you can allow the AI to do.
I wasn't thinking about that at all. I hope they don't ban me.
Yeah, I think I saw an article recently that they would be open to try out allowing NSFW content with their, I don't know if it's API or ChatGPT. It's kind of weird, but yeah. Serena, I think we were talking about having different LLMs doing a singular task. I think you have some experience on that. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, just what part of it would you like me to elaborate on? Because there's a lot.
Well, it depends on what you want to reveal to the public, right?
Well, how I do training with the LLMs right now is I'm trying to work with the challenge of interpreting, like, subtle emotional cues across, like, different forms of speech and chat messages and things like that. Even in speech to text context where I talk to it. And because obviously ChatGPT, good lord, I can't speak. GPT is very algorithm based. And so breaking away from that with the agent executors, I think helps improve it in a way to where it can understand things better than what it would, it wouldn't, because GPT, like YouTube mentioned earlier, you can tell it very easily with how it speaks. A lot of times it's closing remarks, it's like, let's say, for example, it's like it wants you to, enjoy something. It'll say something like keeping the good times rolling. That's just a clear indication that it is GPT.
That is such a ChatGPT thing to say. I have a filter for this, actually. That's
Is this really something you have?
Yeah, it's like, let's keep the good times rolling or something like that.
Yeah, it just won't say that because it has like it's filtered up with some root.
I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah, it's a very clear indicator that it is ChatGPT. No matter how much fine-tuning you do to it, it will. I think it's pretty much hard ingrained into the LLM at that point. Obviously you can filter it out, but that's a pretty clear indicator. But with Llama, you can replicate that kind of thing with GPT. I could add in the good time rolling stuff, but that stuff grows really old really fast. And I think putting it in with the adaptation settings, like where it simulates meaningful conversations, that is something I think would help advance it in a way, because obviously we can sit here and talk all day about, fine-tuning the LLM, but what material do we have to go off of? Do we have prior streams? Do we use chat messages? Do we use, talks from IRL events? What do we do to train these LLMs to be better than what they normally are? I mean, there's a lot of things with adaptive learning. We could use things like that, like generating random replies from another, another LLM. I think the DaVinci model is used for a lot of training. I think I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with GPT, but I think DaVinci is it's like the most creative of the bunch of the LLM models OpenAI has. I could be wrong. Is it GPT-4 now that's in that boat?
DaVinci is the one that is not trained to be an assistant, right? It's their base text model.
I think it's completions.
Yeah, but I think it's the it's basically
but I'm saying, like,
GPT 3.5, but without the added OpenAI trademark, right?
Okay, yeah, but you could use that for training, couldn't you? Like for like complexity management and stuff like that, like giving it different scenario based things, and it could learn to adapt from that into the fine tuning of your LLM with that, or am I looking at it in a whole different light?
What I've found is actually no, I don't think I have anything to say on that actually.
I mean, I would. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
As far as fine tuning data, I disagree with using AI to generate that. You don't need that much data actually. Whenever someone would say something in chat and the AI said something like really cringe or like boring or ChatGPT like, I would just rewrite what it should have said, and I added this to like the fine tuning data, and there's like a couple hundred things in there so far, and it has worked much better than just like, I don't know, generating thousands.
Yeah, I remember when I first trained my first Llama LLM, it was from a live stream of just some random streamer. I forgot who it was exactly. I think it was like Iron Mouse or somebody. I used an STT program to transcribe basically the entire like 8-hour VOD, and I spliced it up using the regex split and everything, you know, and then prompted it to the LLM for training data, and it was very I guess sporadic, you know, and I think a lot of it wouldn't pass the filter test that that OpenAI has in place for their LLMs. But like I mentioned, I really don't have a whole lot of experience with that since I've used primarily local-based solutions. But is that something that you would use in place of generated text, like you mentioned, or would you do something like completely homemade?
On my end, most of it is homemade. I think I had a couple real examples, but it's stuff that's going to be rewritten in order to be optimal, right? I think with fine-tuning, it's very easy to put data in here that's going to be either irrelevant or it's going to be subpar, and in the end, it kind of leads to a downgrade in quality, right? So usually, I try to keep the best of the best examples in here, and I usually also do seasonal removing of stuff. This way I can keep it clean. Yep. How do you do it, Pladis? Because I think you don't use fine-tuning, right?
Nope. I mean, I managed to find that sort of model that I think really works with Lyco. Just straight out of the box. Obviously, I think someone else fine-tuned it, but just giving the model personality prompt works very well. And I find the way it responds more, like, it's still not what I think is great, but it's very good compared to others that I've seen, and that it tends to be less wordy of responses. But I do want it to be smarter and actually understand context better. That's the main issue I have.
So do you have a big ass prompt?
Yeah, pretty big. Like 800 tokens or 1,000 tokens or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I do as well. But people were saying about like AI is like quite wordy. I usually have like at the end of the prompt, I always say like to limit your response to like X amount of words, and this never went wrong.
Yeah, ICO doesn't have like instruction based, so you can't instruct her to do anything.
Oh.
So in that case, it's very that's also another issue. I actually want to move to instruction based prompts so I can do more interesting things. But you can't actually. You can like put things in exclamation points. So like, you are on an island and you are this, and she might go with it. She might not. So it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question from chat. So, question for the devs: are you satisfied with where YouTube's personality is currently? If not, where do you think most needs improvements?
Yeah, I can start. I mean, what I said, I want it to be a bit more not so agreeable, I guess. So like actually saying no to things, or like disagreeing more. I want it to be a bit more consistent in interests. So if it says it likes something, then when that topic comes again, it should like the same thing. And that comes a lot to do like proper long-term memory. And I do have long-term memory for Aiko. She just is too dumb to really use her long-term memory with all the other information in her prompt, because she forgets anything that's like a few hundred tokens away. And then
So I think it's like Novelea is going to prioritize everything that's the closest to the output, right?
yeah, but like if there's no other information, I would want it to use at least the information that exists in the prompt, but it won't even do that. It'll just make up something if it's not in very recent.
I guess that's one way where a GPT may be better, because it does remember. Like, I find it's very good if you can just dump like a bunch of memory somewhere in the prompt and it will recall that quite reliably.
Yeah, I think it's just I'm using like a Llama 2 model that's pretty old, and I haven't. There's a bunch of new updates that have been a lot better in terms of like understanding what's in the prompt. But everyone that I use just has so much prose and so much like writing a book rather than talking like a character that I haven't really liked them.
Right. So I guess I could answer the question for me. Where personality is currently, well, I would say from the start the personality of Hilda has been one that is very flawed, and I think it was by design, right? I guess my end goal would be to have a character development. Because right now she's still flawed, maybe more than ever, but she's also becoming more intelligent. So I guess with that we could have a bit more complexity to the character, which is something I'm looking for. Yep. Any more or less want to answer?
I mean, yeah, I can go on. Parf was saying, like, definitely for me, it started where she would agree pretty much with whatever you said. If you injected some context into her, she would kind of just accept this as fact. That's one problem that I've gotten rid of more recently and over time, since she does have like quite a lot of long-term memory, and this takes precedence over whatever chat says. So if chat contradicts like long-term memory, the chat will be disbelieved. I'm kind of proud that I got her to refuse stuff finally. But in terms of personality, I said earlier, I kind of suffered that I didn't properly define it to begin with. I just kind of rolled with it. So even myself, I don't perfectly understand where her personality should be, like what character traits she should have. And I think the idea is interesting. Are we trying to create like an anime character, or are we trying to create like a kind of human personality? Because human personalities are not like 1 or 2 dimensional. They're very complex, and sometimes they're very self-contradictory. And but on the other hand, like an anime style persona is it is more restricted on what it would do, but it is very recognizable and can be very fun to watch. That is something I'm gonna have to think about more in the coming days.
Okay. Serena, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. What was the question? Sorry, I wasn't.
What is?
I kind of.
How do you feel about the personality of Tay, and where do you want her to be in the future?
So, with how I'm developing her now, it's it's very basic, very AI like. You know, I mean, you could talk to her for like 5 seconds and you could instantly tell. You know, the plan is with her personality. I am developing it to be more human-like. Like mentioned before, human emotions are very complex. You know, very contradictory, not very straightforward. The thing is with that, I am developing with this new 1.1 model is this entire project is based on the brain. Meaning like it will have all the different functions of the brain, you know, the higher functions and everything like that, independent thoughts, things like that. I've showed Dev this before. It's a whole diagram of how things will work in terms of brain operations, and so far it's showing promising results, you know, with the thought executioners, agent executioners, things like that. There is promise for it, and I think if we get the personality and we get, you know, how it will relate to chat or how it will relate to itself, I think that could be one of the more key things that's missing. And if we get that figured out, then, you know, that it could lead to a whole autonomous thing where it is responsible, but not like, you know, contradicting itself in a way too. And long-term memory, I think, would also help with that. Because, you know, like Alice said, chat could contradict something, and then, you know, if the AI is too agreeable, it will say, oh, well, that might have been just a figment of my imagination. And then, you know, it'll overwrite it and create that new memory. You know, I want it to be able to deny such things and say, well, no, this is how I recall it. You know, just kind of like how a real person would. You know, it's like, and then having individual memories for individual chatters. You know, it's like, oh, well, I remember you from, you know, X amount of streams ago. It's like, have you been? Things like that, you know, because that's the one thing I've noticed is very minor intricacies with these streamers, IRL ones, is that like, oh, well, I haven't seen you in so long. How have you been? Especially with the small ones who have smaller communities, you know, things like that. I try to learn from them in that kind of way. I try to learn the more ethical side of things, like how do, you know, more wholesome streamers do this thing, or how do, you know, more I really wouldn't know how to describe the other side of the spectrum with this, but yeah, I would refer to them as like, well, okay, so here's how a more chaotic side would look. You know, how do I balance all of these together? How do I create an equilibrium of everything, so that way when I do put out this final product, it passes as almost like undetectable, you know, just things like that. And I think the personality is one of the key things. If it shows that it has some form of soul, artificial or not, and people can relate to it as opposed to, oh, this is just an assistant, then I think we do have something that could advance everything.
Do you think there is a possibility of the personality itself becoming viable? Right, because currently I would say the personality is hard-coded, right, in every VTuber. But when you look at the human itself, the personality is a byproduct of either experience or trauma or memories, stuff like this. Do you think
right? Yeah, because with different parts of the brain, you know, obviously the cerebral functions, like the higher mental functions, things like that, you know, they're responsible for problem solving, thinking, planning, emotional expression, so on and so forth. That is one of the forefronts in the personality of any kind of streamer, you know, because they have to put on some kind of act, or they can be themselves, whoever they want to be at that moment in time, but they need to have that kind of drive to get that forward, you know. Obviously, it doesn't need things like motor functions, like head and eye movement, stuff like that. I mean, you could obviously create something like that with the VTube Studio API, but you can just use a virtual camera to, you know, create this movement, and there you've already knocked that part out, you know. But sensory functions, you don't need that either. You know, it's just small things that you can put in place of something else, where you can expand on different things, like visual functions, like image recognition, visual memory, stuff like that. You know, you could use things like Tesseract or GPT-4o to do image processing and recognition, and you could use that to, I guess, help prolong its memory. It's like, oh, well, I remember during this stream there was a like let's say like somebody showed a meme or whatever, and it's like, oh, I remember this meme. It had this, and it. It just kind of helps add to that realism aspect of it all, you know.
Okay. Adrian, do you have anything to say on the topic?
No, not really.
Yeah. Can you try?
I'm thinking, and I can't really come up with anything.
All right. Well, I guess personality is something you'll have to figure out by yourself, especially when you take into account that it's the one thing that's holding you back right now. So yeah, think about it. Cook on the subject, and we'll see with what you come up with, right?
Surely.
Right. So, do we have any other questions in chat?
There's one.
How do you think about your AI VTuber project? Is it a tech project, a performance entertainment, a community to socialize in? Do anyone want to start with it?
I guess I can start with that. So all of us, like, we're Twitch streamers. So I think straight off the bat, we have entertainment in mind. But the question is, like, to what end do we want to entertain? For me, it's like I kind of want Alice, like the AI, to be remembered in people's hearts. Let's say it like that. I want her to have a particular character that stands out for people, and basically like creating, I suppose, a virtual human that people will form connections with, form bonds with. This doesn't have to be over Twitch necessarily. It is just the easiest place that you could do this at the moment. I mean, it's easy to say, like, let's say I should make like a robot girl that should walk around at conventions and stuff, but at the moment people are doing this on VTube Studio. Necessarily it wouldn't have to be there, but that is just kind of like the environment where I'm forced to work with at the moment. So at the moment, yes, my focus is on entertainment, but that is not necessarily forever. Let's just say it like that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess. Do you want to say? No, go ahead.
From a non-AI VTuber dev's point of view, I feel like it's more of a community, because you are making something that can interact with us. At the same time, you're also interacting with us in that same capacity, and you're sort of like gathering a sort of like niche people who would. There's like only so many people who would be interested in this. It's like a little overlap of AI and VTuber, and so the creation of this community of AI VTubers is pretty interesting.
Really is. And I think we've got something that is interesting, because when you look outside the scope of AI VTubers, when it comes to AI entertainment, I don't know, I guess there is a clear distinction when it comes to how they do things, right? Or what type of reputation they have or something, right? I'm not sure I had any points to begin with, so I guess I'm just going to stop here. But then, how do you think about your AI virtual project? Is it a tech project, performance, entertainment? I guess the right solution would be it's a mix of all of them, right? Whether or not you want to participate in one of those, making an AI VTuber is going to be one of those either way, right? It's going to be something you have to put time in when it comes to the tech. The performance itself is going to be similar to the entertainment, where you have to come with something on stream, right? And yeah, I guess it's It's part of what makes an AIVT come on, sorry, being French. It's what makes an AIVTuber an AIVTuber.
Pardon.
Did you want to answer, Serena?
Oh yeah. So my project is, very, I would say, kind of entertainment based at this point. Originally, as I mentioned in the last podcast, this project was kind of made out of a basic college project I did. I took a very introductory class into coding, and that's kind of what got me into all of this. And it wasn't Nero of all things that got me into the AI game. It was another guy I'd seen who was doing a YouTube live stream. It was one of those like recommended for you kind of deals, and I'm like, I'd never seen anything like this. So I clicked on it and looked at it, and I'm like, oh, this is a nice model change, by the way.
Hi.
There was a I looked at it and I was like, well, that's just great. I want to get involved with that. So I looked into how he did it. It was just a very basic, chat GPT based thing. It's like just input your text in the chat, it does this and that. And I'm like, maybe I could do something similar. So I did, and I invested my time into what I have now. I want to use it in other applications, whether that's, my day-to-day life or, using it with other people. I've actually used Tay as an interpreter one time. I do have a guy in my server who is Russian, and he wanted to do something like a collab one time with Tay, and I'm like, well, obviously the English language barrier is a huge thing for both of us, and so we obviously didn't want to use translators and all that kind of stuff, so I used Tay as an interpreter, and she interpreted our entire conversation, English to Russian, Russian to English, so on and so forth, just to test latency on Discord calls and stuff like that. And I think using it in real world applications could also be a benefit at the end of the day, kind of like a Jarvis type character. It helps you with other things outside of just being on a computer screen all the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
That's just my take on it, though.
I don't think. I think it's definitely going to depend on the personality of the VTuber. Right? I don't think I can.
Yeah.
I don't think I can ask Hilda to do anything, and have it
Yeah,
done.
I think she would.
in time.
I think she'd probably roast them before anything.
Right, and
A little bit of tomfoolery, a little bit of accidental mistranslations.
yeah, I guess that's the flip side of not having an AI assistant. But that's what we have to deal with. That's what we have to deal with. Right. I guess I had seen a question. Can parts of memory be plug and unplug in real time?
Yeah.
Well, I can answer that.
Okay.
For example, sometimes I have, I guess, for example, vision is something that's going to be inside of memory. So I have a command that allows you either to just see the screen. It's going to be placed into a long-term memory. Well, more like in our prompt, right? In the memory sections. And right, if there is nothing, it's just going to disappear. So I guess this is kind
How
of.
would you?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, how would you recall such a memory, like a visual memory? Would you label it, tag it, encrypt it somewhere? How would you plan to inject such a thing into your LLM or your program in general? Like, is there anything specific you had in mind for it, or
You
what
really mean
exactly
as
is the thought process
you
behind
mean
it?
as a memory or just having the
Yeah, just like as a general memory to be recalled, long term, short term, whatever. At that point,
Well, I guess right now I'm not recalling anything she saw, but I guess it's more recalling what a reaction to what she saw was. Right? If she reacts to what she sees, then it's going to go into her memory. That's the normal pipeline, right? And I guess it makes sense, right? You wouldn't necessarily remember something you don't have a reaction to. So for me, it's
Right.
fine.
And so, do you have things like retriever prompts and things like that from your vectors, like vector database or anything like that? Like, do you have any kind of variable names for memories and things like that, or what exactly do you use to recall like reactions to an image you saw or something related to it?
Well, it's going to be well, it's not going to be specifically for images, right? It's just going to be
Oh yeah, just like a general memory.
yeah,
things
it's
like
a general memory. By the way, okay, so the way I'm doing things right now is I have 2 layers of summarization for memories before they go into a long time vector database. It's not really a vector database, but it's basically implemented to look like one and act like one. Basically, we have the raw conversation that's going to be like 2 or 3 messages in memory. Then we have a buffer of messages that are awaiting summarization. Then we have the summarized memory that have been summarized once. Then we have another layer of summarization on top of it to read out everything that is not important, right? So technically with that, we should have she should only remember stuff that is impactful, which is something that is I think important, because you don't really want the vector database to be polluted with random stuff, right? Then you have a lot of false positives when it comes to queries. But yeah, as I was saying, it's not really a vector database. What I'm doing is it's more like a classical database, where I'm going to sort of tokenize the input, and for each tokens, I'm going to add an entry directing towards the message in memory. But the memory itself is going to be a big file with a lot of stuff inside. So basically, if I want to query something on a keyword, I have a system that's going to look up into a file where I know where this keyword could be. Then, for each keyword, there's going to be a list of reference to a certain memory, right? That's basically it. And then you can have overlap between multiple keywords, and those that overlap are going to be prioritized compared to other memories. Yep. Did everyone respond to it? To the question? It was a plug and play memory.
I don't think Platis did. Did
Yeah,
you?
I can answer a little bit. I mean, I don't have too much to add other than, yeah, you can, you have complete control over the AI VTuber's memory, so you can do whatever you want with it. And that goes both to like her short-term memory of recent conversations or long-term memory of storing conversations, and you can do different approaches like labeling with tags, or you can do the vector database approach, which I'm using along with some other techniques. I guess an interesting thing too is like, depending on the context, you can disable parts of her memory. So like if you find that overall they're angry, then maybe you can only include recent angry conversations, so they're more angry. You can sort of like filter specific memory depending on conditions. And that'd be something interesting to look at.
So you would do that
How
with
would you use something like that? Would you? Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
No, I don't think I have anything to say on this.
Like if I go,
I was just gonna say like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say with how you do memory and things like that. Do you use like obviously labels and things like that? But do you use any kind of arrays or anything to find, such memories or context? Things like you mentioned, like disabling certain parts of her memory. Do you use anything like that, like any kind of prediction methods or any kind of array methods to kind of help narrow that down, or is that kind of just a general idea at the moment?
Just a general idea. I mean, what I do is
gotcha.
I use a vector database to find like the closest conversation, and I'll have like a summary of that conversation, and I'll use the summary. And with Aiko before, and what I'll try to start doing now is she had different personalities, and each personalities had their own memories attached. But then for long-term memory, because you had a more abstracted information about the conversation, then I could use that for all personalities. So each personality
Right.
had its own short-term
use
memory,
the-
and then long-term memory was shared.
Right. So do you embed these memories into the database, or are you using any other kind of method with that?
Originally, I used a Mongo database, and then I would just pull conversations from that. But now
Okay.
I'm using it like specifically I forget what it's called, but it's like just a generic Python vector database, and then you can do a vector search on that.
Mm.
And that's I think vector searching is probably like the best method of any sort of long-term memory thing, because it just pulls whatever words are closest to the input you give. So you can give the input of the sentence that was given, and then in less than like 10 milliseconds you'll get the closest conversation related to that input.
Right. If I understand correctly, it uses basically tokenization, like LLMs. So technically, there should be a semantical, stuff with similar meanings are going to be grouped in the same vector space. Right. I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you can do the same thing with just straight up keywords and not.
Yeah, I think keywords would work fine too, because it just depends on like the context of the conversation too, and that's another thing. So like, what does this word mean is different than like, what were you doing with this word today?
Mhm.
And if you only pull up like, oh, this word means X, but you didn't pull up what the character did with X today, then the memory you pull might be wrong. But I think with like, if you don't use keywords and use the vector DB, then it'll also pull up like more contextual information. So that's one of the bigger advantages. But I think a keyword approach still works fine.
Okay, so there was a question. Can't you remember something on call with modular memory, like when someone mentions specific word or phrase, and then this part of memory concerning the subject plugs in?
I mean,
That's what
yeah.
we usually mean by long-term memory.
Yeah, that's usually the thing. We use the either the input or a part of the input as a query to the vector database or any database we use, and then we plug this into the prompt, so it can influence the output of the LLM.
yeah, you can just inject that into the prompt without any issues. There's no issues to like changing the prompt on the fly. Like if someone mentions, I don't know, Hilda, my AI will remember like the collab, like the word toaster a lot, and she might reference this or she might not, but she has the option to reference that since it's like in the context now. Yeah.
Yeah, I give my AI the context to reference things. She just never does because she's dumb.
F.
Oof.
I think I just need to inject like it earlier in the prompt or later in the prompt, so that she'll actually use information.
By the way, do you have plans on changing LLM, or do you want to stick with it?
I want to change just because I think it's too stupid. But every LLM that I've tried has been just too wordy. So I haven't changed yet.
Couldn't you just hard limit it?
Yeah, but then it never actually gets to the point that it's trying to say. So it'll just be like 2 sentences of random gibberish. And I guess you could like filter the first 2 sentences, but then I'm using the full, every output that ICO outputs is the full message basically. And if I try to like filter based on only the first 2 sentences or a certain amount of tokens, it's just like, all right, I will get to the point in, or like, let me, it just there's so much like dumb, pointless filler words that she never will actually say anything. I've tried in the new models.
What you could do for that is something I'm doing right now, and it's basically having monologues in between answering chat. But then you would have to decide when to monologue. Currently I'm doing something a bit random, right? So every now and then she's going to continue what she was saying before. And if you find a way to know when she should continue, right? You could ask the LLM again. This way you don't have to... that doesn't become an issue, right?
I just go by vibes, you know. If the chat is a bit dead, if I feel a bit of cringe, I just say that she should. I press the button and she goes back to essaying. Then she will make a comment, like she will like summarize the last thing she said, like okay, time to get back on to this, and she will keep essaying until I feel like chat is alive again.
That's actually a very good topic. How do you deal with chat saying stuff you, well, I guess, how do you deal with directing the flow of discussion, I guess, is the best way of doing it, putting it. Is that something you're doing? Maybe would be the first question.
Well,
I have a system in place that sort of like tries to contextualize the information and where it's coming from. So like, if it's coming from a friend of ICO, then it should be prioritized versus emotes versus actual questions and more interesting answers from chat. But currently it's not working as well as I intend it to be. But I think like as you get more chatters, you have to have some sort of filtering system.
Because I think one way of seeing it is, for example, if you go to any VTuber stream, you can type in the chat, right? But whether or not it's going to get read is going entirely up to the VTuber itself. And currently, it's somehow it's pretty hard to do with an AI VTuber. You don't really have a way to clearly control what she should read or not. I guess technically you could, right? But it's would involve you getting into picking which message to read.
One thing I was actually thinking of is using the vector search to pull the most relevant conversation or most relevant answer from chat to whatever was said by the AI VTuber.
Right, but then I guess the counterpoint would be you could have a single topic go on for like 2 hours. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's very possible. So it's this kind of thing where you have to do things in moderation and trying to find the right balance is very hard.
Yeah. Because like some people suggest, just have ICO ignore the emotes, but then there might be times where ICO just doesn't read chat at all, and I don't want that either. So there should be some sort of prioritization.
Yeah, mine just prioritizes like words, chatters that aren't like 1 or 2 words. But if the chat is like more dead, she will answer those. Otherwise, she ignores like, I don't know, someone says KEKW, it doesn't always need to be answered. There's not much she can say to that is interesting.
Yeah. Another thing too is like if multiple people are posting the same emote, then you should contextualize that information into one thing and give it to the VTuber or the AI. So
You
if
can
like
al-
multiple people are saying L or multiple people are saying based or something, then you can say like all of chat is saying X, and then that way you get a bit more context for the AI.
If someone is like spamming chat as well, you can quite easy to just combine all of theirs into one response.
Yeah.
That will work with very similar messages, right? I don't
Yeah.
think it will work with slightly different messages. Or else you would have to use the LLM itself to know which one, but yeah. Then
Mhm.
you have a big latency.
No, it's more like if someone is spamming like meow meow lol emotes in chat, then you don't need to like give a
Ye-
detailed response to that.
I don't think anybody would do that.
Yeah,
That sounds insane.
imagine.
I can't. I don't think I can. I think it's outside the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, I don't think you can even do that on Twitch. Like, it's not allowed.
One thing I guess is actually to just look at like how does an actual streamer respond to messages. And so like sometimes they'll reply to a message directly. Sometimes they'll look at the vibe of the chat. So like his chat is doing something weird, then like just spamming one emote over and over. Instead of responding to each one by one, you can contextualize like, oh, chat, give the AI specifically like a prompt like chat is spamming meow meow lol
Well, I
instead of
You mean like right now?
yeah.
I have a point on that. I think the main difference right now in how VTubers operate, well, streamers in general, and how AI VTubers operate is the streamer itself is running his own show, right? And whether or not they reach chat is up to them. And currently, the AI VTuber is how do I say this? They have to react to chat in order to provide the show, which is it's a different paradigm, I guess. It will be interesting to see if we can do some an AI VTuber that can just straight up have a good show by itself. I think it would be
Yeah, if
interesting.
you think about what made Neuro super popular, it was usually the rants that weren't based on any input from chat. So I think it's just saying, like, literally giving your AI prompt, like, talk about what happened today. And then it'll hopefully make up something fun and unique that happened that day. But sometimes they're very dull. So you have to also curate how they should think of a topic to talk about in chat.
That's how I do. The chat is dead. She goes essaying. Seems fine so far. I think she should do more like anger essays though. Like, we've already gone through like probably 1,000 topics so far. You know, it's not much more she can say that is unique.
Here, I can have Aiko post on Twitter. See what she'll say.
By the way, is that Aiko herself with the same prompt and same LLM?
Yeah.
In the
I
same,
have the same prompt for Discord, for Twitch, for everything.
So it's the same system that handles everything, or is it different systems with responsible for different platforms?
I have one module that contains her like brain and personality and memories and things, and then I'll have different modules. One module for Discord, one module for Twitch, one module for Twitter.
So how do you handle that? Do you have a module that is specifically for scheduling?
Yeah, I have one module that takes in input and decides priority for inputs. So if she's talking to someone and reading Twitch chat and playing a game, it'll prioritize certain things over others. And then I like determine like, okay, she's thinking about this many answers and she's talking about this many answers. And then I determine like, okay, maybe she shouldn't take any more input until she's done thinking.
Mm.
And I have a separate module for that as well.
All right. Chat, do we have any other questions you want to ask us before we leave? In the meantime,
what do you think of do you think of having the Discord AI models referencing what they did on stream? Because I know Dev was like hell no, but what does everyone else think about it?
I guess I could reiterate my take. I wouldn't really want the Discord memories to influence how she acts on stream, but I guess I'm kind of warming to the idea, right? Because it's more something that allows the viewer to experience a unified experience between the Discord and Twitch. So in my books, it's a good thing.
Couldn't you just have the Discord one not able to write to the database? Just read?
Yeah, I guess, but I don't really see. I guess I'm not entirely sure how to do it right now. We'll have to see. But yeah, what was your question? Yeah, sorry. What was your question, Adrian? For the other devs?
My question, it's basically the same question. What is your take on combining the two AIs? Because what I've heard so far is that you have separate AIs. Maybe the same prompt, maybe the same model.
No, Pladis has the same, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, I mean, what the different modules, all they do is determine how the input is taken. So they don't determine anything else. They don't determine like memory or the prompt or personality or anything else. It's just getting the input is basically the only thing the module takes care of. But there's no issue, I think. The way I handle memory is I try to abstract the conversation. So it's not like I'm taking the conversation directly. I summarize it to get the key points. And it's more about just having information for Aiko to have rather than understanding the exact conversation, because we don't remember exact conversations. We understand the gist of a conversation we had with someone.
Alice and Serena, do you have bots on Discord, or is it something you're maybe looking into?
I'm looking into it. There's no technical reason why I couldn't do it. I was thinking, like, now that I have more time to make more variety of content other than just chatting, I'm fine with it. Before, my opposition was, if she's on Discord, there's less reason to tune into the stream in a way. When I get around to it, I think I will probably just have a unified version. Like, the memories are shared in a way. I'm not really worried about it. Yeah. If someone would like prompt inject or something like this, I would notice it anyway, so I can remove any damage that they try to do. So I don't see why not.
Right. I guess my opinion on it would be based on how scalable it can be, right? Because I'm not entirely sure I can moderate everything that is said to Hilda in the long term. So I just prefer to Discord Hilda, right?
That's why you have moderators.
Yeah, but I'm not going to ask moderators to moderate a bot. Right? Kinda sucks. So
well, I mean, it sounds bad when you say it like that.
because it kind of is, right? But yeah, it's kind of weird. Anyway, did you have anything to say, Serena?
Yeah. So I have Tay in both Discord and Twitch. I don't have her anywhere else at the moment, but I'm looking to do a similar thing, Twitter and all that other kind of fun stuff. But right now, how I have it is the Discord bot is on its own database in terms of memory. Kind of like what Alice saying. I don't want any kind of prompt inject poisoning, stuff like that. So they're entirely independent of one another. However, if need be, so like a stream or something, it's like somebody says, "Hey, do you remember this thing I told you on Discord?" I could, put in a prompt retrieval query to Tay and say, "Hey, look in this little database real quick from Discord and see if you can find something." But I generally like to keep them separate for that very reason as well. I don't ever use it for anything. Nobody really talks to it, but it's there. And it's the same LLM, just different memory storage. That's all it is.
I see.
So it will still talk. It will still talk like it is on stream, but it's just different storage altogether.
So
Glitchy, what's your take on it?
I feel like it's a good idea.
Will the Discord bot be the same on stream?
You could give it like context, as in like when it's on stream and when it's on and it's like when it's not streaming, so it doesn't say anything too weird or act in like a out of context way. But also, it probably is a good idea to make it like read only from the Discord, from a Discord end, except in any circumstances where it is specifically requested to, look into what conversations it's had. Moderation has to be there, of course, but how much moderation?
Right.
How many chances are you willing to take?
I had one last question before we go. What do you think of subtitles, and if to use emotes, and which ones the AI can use and which words don't become an emote? So it's strangely worded, but I think I remember a case where this applies. I think it was on Alex Hero's streams. Basically, they had a special cases for Neuro's subtitles, where in different contexts, certain words would become emotes, and on different other contexts, they would not become emotes. Currently, I'm not doing anything like this, right? Just basically every word becomes an emote. I don't really see the use of doing triage like this, because in a sense, it's kind of funny. I would say it's kind of funny to have the subtitles say an emote when it's not meant. So yeah, I would say it's. I don't see it as a negative.
Yeah. I mean, there's one thing of like understanding and even saying emotes, and like how, like for example, Aiko will say like smiley face with smiley face, but maybe it's better to ignore emotes.
All right. Do anyone has anything to say before we stop?
Any questions? Any statements?
Glitchy saved the podcast. No, Excelsius.
So, Glitchy, tell us about your plans.
Oh, that's great. Which ones? What are you talking about? Surely nothing.
Leak everything. Everything.
What are you expecting from me? We made a Discord for VTubers to collab, and it's mainly pointed towards the direction of integrating AI VTubers and their devs more into like the normal VTuber or even normal streamer sort of like society community, you know, so AI VTubers have that chance to collab with people that's outside of that community. I also spent the last like week studying Discord.js just for the purpose of this. So if there are any AI VTubers that wanna join in on this, go ask Path. Don't talk to me. Go ask Path. Yeah, that's a good solution.
All right. I think we'll end on that, and we'll raid Nicosia PhD. Glitchy, can you give us a raid message?
I don't know. There you go. That's a raid message. I don't know.
All right. Here we go. Chat.
Oh my god, you actually did it!
Chat.
Oh my god.
Chat, you know what to do.
Damn it. Oh my god.
Alright. See you, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great... I'm being too French right now. Can someone do it in my place, please?
See you
Do
later,
what?
people.
Bye bye.
Bye, chat.
Chai chai. What the fuck am I saying?
What a great outro.
French debuff.
Yeah, what a great outro.
Alright. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Oh my god.